Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have you with us. For me, it's nighttime in the United States. For you, it's the start of your day. So let me get started with my PowerPoint, and we'll go from there. So our session is called Navigating Challenges with a Growth Mindset and Resilience. So by the end of this presentation, we're going to share 5 ways that you can increase your longevity in whatever profession you choose, but we're hoping your profession that you want to stay with is going to be teaching. So we're going to call this kind of a time to rise and shine, empowering you to empower people in spaces. My name's Jeff Remington. I spent 35 years as a classroom teacher during the day, at night for 25 years. I was also a college professor in the evening. I retired in 2022, and now I am an outreach STEM liaison at Penn State. And I understand Malaysia has a really strong STEM presence. So we're going to give you one commercial slide about Penn State next, in case any of you are considering getting an advanced degree. So we're going to give you a real quick tour of the Penn State campus. This will take about 3 minutes. And I would like you to know that we have 220 students currently from Malaysia. I see many of them all the time. And we have 100,000 students total within the Penn State system. We are one of the largest universities in the United States, probably one of the largest universities in the world. We have both graduate and undergraduate degrees. We have a $1.3 billion research enterprise for STEM and engineering and any kind of research you can think of. And if you are thinking of coming over here on potentially a scholarship, we have something called a Humphreys Fellows. So let me give you a real quick tour of what Penn State University looks like. We're in the middle of Pennsylvania. Just checking, can we hear the sound?
Jeff, I think we can't hear anything, Jeff. The video is moving, yeah.
No sound?
Yeah, there's no sound.
Okay, let me check that real quick. Okay, try it again. Here we go.
By the sounds I'm breathing in, hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you.
So please consider hopping over to the US sometime and consider taking an advanced degree or another degree at Penn State. That is our football stadium. It's the second largest football stadium in the United States. And even though we have 100,000 students, the stadium can fit more than 100,000 people there. So it's kind of a neat thing. If you're interested, you can reach out to me at the end of the presentation. We can talk more about Penn State. So we are going to jump on to, whoops, sorry about that. One second. Sorry. Sorry about that. Let me get back to my presentation here. Okay, time to rise and shine. So empowering you to empower people in spaces. We are really living in the post-pandemic era, which is kind of a tricky era. We've all had resilience in making it through the pandemic, but we've got to continue to create that power from within because we've seen its effect on our students, and we've got to set the example for our students. So I always like to think whatever you do today, do with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Batman shirt. So if you've ever seen a little kid in a superhero costume, you know they've got an awful lot of confidence. That's what we're asking you to consider doing here. So no matter where you're at on your life, career journey, regardless of assets or challenges you find, if you can develop a growth mindset, you can do anything. I don't know if you've seen this on social media. This gentleman's name is Alex Rocca. Alex Rocca is 76% disabled. In Spain, he's classified as a level 5 disability, which is an extreme severe disability. He is a person that wanted to run the Madrid Marathon, and everyone's telling him, you can't run the Madrid Marathon. You've got a severe disability. And again, he used his growth mindset. His mantra is, you set your own limits. They're set by us, not by other people. Here he is finishing that 26-mile marathon.
Y ahora sí, hemos hecho historia.
Pretty amazing. Set your own limits. Don't let people set limits for you. So the New York Times frequently asks people who are very, very old, what is their secret to a long life? How did they survive so long? So most of the people you're going to see in this short video are in their 80s, 90s, and even past 100. And you'll see on the left what some of their secrets are. And these are secrets that anybody can use to keep a long career.
I think the secret to a long life is to be engaged with life.
It's waking up in the morning and getting off your bed and doing things.
Name is Christopher Columbus. The secret to my longevity is that I am good looking.
Moviéndome every day. No sleeping every day, no sit down every day.
Eating regular lox instead of Nova.
Keep in shape, drink a lot of water,
And try to be happy, which is not very easy.
I eat healthy, walk my dog 4 times a day. I garden, sing, write a column, keep up with my dear family and friends.
I've been taking yoga for the past 22 years. It helps my mind, it helps my body, and it helps my happy life.
I color my hair, wear makeup, and flirt with only the cute guys, and I always take the stairs.
I'm sure the secret is hard work.
I have a curious mind, and that is one thing that is important when you get old.
I love to paint. I've been painting all my life. It keeps me going. It's what I get up for.
Not overdoing food, not overdoing liquor.
Just keep living, enjoying it, and make yourself enjoyable and interesting to other people.
Not overdoing sex.
Be aware of the pleasure that you get when you give something or do something for people that really need it.
Not overdo doing walking or hiking or anything.
Don't stop breathing. Don't kvetch. And respect others for who they are.
Do have nice cream every day. 2 spoons is enough, or 3. Bridge during the day, Manhattans at night.
Good clean living, a lot of fun, and lots of love from your family.
I surround myself with friends and family, playing card games, doing volunteer work, and eating dark chocolate.
Good family, and at this time of life, good friends.
I'm 167.
How old are you really?
88.
Okay, and what is the secret to your longevity?
Refusing to give in or give up.
Okay, so many of those secrets of a long life can also be the secrets of a long and fruitful career, whether that career is in education or whatever career you happen to be in. Enjoying life, staying loyal, keep moving, taking care of yourself, being mindfully aware, having a balance in what you do, work-life balance, family and friends, not giving up, loving, being curious, and smiling a lot. All good things. Let's see if I can get to the next slide here. So we're going to kind of look out in the audience and see if you guys could turn your cameras on for me. That would be wonderful. If you could turn your cameras on, possibly. Put your hand up if you have been in teaching at least 1 year. Can you either do your hand signal or hands up? Okay. Keep it up if you've been in teaching for at least 5 years. Okay. Keep your hand up if you've been in teaching for at least 10 years. How many people have been in there 10 years? Look at that. We definitely got some 10 years. Okay, here's the big one. Have you been in education more than 20 years? See who we got. Do we have anybody out there? I think we have a couple out there more than 20 years. If you've been in education for more than 20 years, could you either unmute and share something that helped you get through 20 years or put in the chat something that's helped you get through 20 years? I'll pause a little bit and see if we get anybody unmute or anybody in the chat. Sir, I can't monitor the chat, so if you see any comments, that would be great that you'd want to share out.
So everyone, for those who have been teaching for over 20 years or for at least for 20 years and above, you can share your experience either on the chat or you can unmute and talk about it. You can speak in Malay so I can translate. It should be all right.
So how did you survive 20 years? What was your secret? Because you can see there's very few people on the call that have been in education 20 years. So you're pretty special if you've done that. You got a big crowd there giving you a standing ovation if you're one of those people that's been in for 20 years. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to my next slide. And kind of tell you that challenges of teaching are pretty significant, as we all know. From my perspective in the United States, it's probably very similar to Malaysia, because I've been in countries' education systems in the United Arab Emirates and all over the world. And these are pretty consistent all over the world if you're into teaching. That is managing costs. We don't have an unlimited budget to do what we want with the students. We have limited supplies, so we're fiscally challenged. We have limited resources. Time is a resource that we don't have a lot of in our classrooms. Compliance, regulations, initiatives, and buy-ins. In our country, we have federal rules, national rules and regulations. We have state rules and regulations. We have school rules and regulations. And then we get some regulations from the parents as well. So we have a lot of levels of those rules and regulations. They're all important. They're all very necessary, but sometimes they can stifle some of our creativity, and that's a challenge. Staffing and workforce management. Sometimes, I mean, I know in the United States, we have a teacher shortage, and UNESCO says there's a teacher shortage in much of the world. I'm not sure how it is in Malaysia, but if you have a teacher shortage like we have in the United States, that means you're doing more work because there's less teachers out there, less educators, and appreciation and support. In the United States, teaching is not considered a very high profession. So for us, it's usually kind of tricky. So these are some issues in the United States that we face. And again, possibly in Malaysia, you might be facing the same kinds of issues. And those are stress, the top 8 reasons why teachers leave: stress, high workloads, poor working conditions, inadequate compensation, not getting paid enough compared to other professions, lack of preparation, lack of administrative support, poorly designed professional development, lack of input or feedback. And here's some facts, other facts about teacher turnover. 9 out of 10 teachers in the United States are hired to replace teachers that have left. They just left the classroom. More than 2/3 of the teachers in the United States quit before retirement. And in my particular area of expertise, STEM teachers leave the profession at a 70% higher rate than other teachers. In the United States, STEM teachers don't get paid very much, but if STEM professionals work in business and industry, they get paid a lot more in business and industry than they do in the classroom. So in the United States, this is a colleague of mine at Penn State did a survey of what are the perceptions, teachers' perceptions of working conditions from 1970 to 2023. And you can see that over the decades, they continue to think that working conditions in the United States education system have dropped. I have here the latest report from UNESCO, which is the global teaching situation. And I think you're going to find there that there are some similarities. So, and average teacher salaries in the United States have remained constant for the past 20, 30 years. So these are all challenges to education. So somehow I survived 35 years in the classroom and even teaching in the pandemic and absolutely loved it. Did I face all those challenges I showed you? I certainly did face those challenges, and many of my colleagues did as well, including my colleagues that did survive 35 years. So I learned to look at things differently to survive and thrive. Sometimes in teaching, we feel like we could be going in circles, but we're really not going in circles. If you think about it, we're kind of going on a spiral staircase. We're not revisiting the same exact point in time in our career, and we're actually getting better because we're building that resilience, that growth mindset to survive the challenges. Think of the challenges you had your first year of teaching. You're still here. You survived that first year of teaching, which is often the hardest year in teaching. So you've done a great job. So what are some ways that we can survive and have more resilience in teaching? And I would say increase awareness. There is an abundance of wind beneath our wings to be leveraged if we just look around and find sources of energy within the world that we're teaching. Some of my favorite quotes: if you've always done it this way, it's probably wrong. And sometimes in teaching, we can get stuck in teaching the way that we were taught or that our parents were taught. And there were many good things about how we were taught and how parents were taught, but life changes, the world changes, and we have to adapt our teaching style as well. So those who cannot change their mind can't change anything. So you really have to increase your awareness of being able to change. For instance, within the past year, ChatGPT and generative AI is a huge change to the education system. Students, if they really want to, can find any answer they want at any point in time. So in the United States, many teachers are flipping back to old pencil and paper tests and unplugging from the computer. And a lot of teachers think, wow, that's a lot more work on me, but it really is benefiting the students. So it's thinking of creative ways to combat the challenges of new technology like AI, or using AI to help you teach, to help students learn. Lots of different things that are out there. That's another thing at Penn State we do a lot of work on, is artificial intelligence in the classroom. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So at first in the United States, when ChatGPT came out, the teachers were very much against it. Now, the teachers really, really enjoy it because they're figuring out systems to prevent students from cheating, but then to have students learn to use ChatGPT to help their own learning, all through prompts and questioning and things like that. So you change your perspective, the things you look at change as well. And I can certainly see that in the US with that. Reignite your career why. So think about why you're teaching. Yes, you're teaching because you love kids, but also think about it that you are preparing a better world for your children. Think about your faith, your religion, because all faiths and religions have a really big commitment to teaching. Think about your family. Think about you. What do you like most about teaching? What are those things that energize you? How can you incorporate that? Think about the legacy you're going to leave for your grandchildren when you tell them about your classroom. Think about your friends. Think about those marginalized kids that really their only way out of the situation they're in is by education. And then think of a balance in your life. Purpose directs passion, and passion ignites purpose. So you really need to reflect on what is your purpose for teaching, not the school's purpose. What's your purpose? What's your purpose? And see what that aligns with the school's purpose. And that's where you're going to get more energy. Your calling is more important than any role you fill. So if you may not be in the classroom for 30 years, you still may be in education, and maybe your calling is in some form of education to help people learn. So, find your calling and see how you can become true to that in what you do. And my favorite quote is this: be the change you wish to see in the world. So there's so many things that are great about the world. And as we know right now, there's a lot of things that could be changed in the world to make it better. You have a way to be that change at a small incremental level, but over time, you're going to see that it's really going to cause a positive effect. So here's my whys after 35 years of education. So I'm passionate about people learning and students learning all over the world. So I had an opportunity for 20 years to have my students in the United States work remotely with students in Haiti. I don't know if you know much about Haiti. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So my students raised money. We created a learning management system, sort of like, I don't know if you have Blackboard or if you have, well, I guess it would be sort of like Facebook, but in a learning module. My students created a code before Facebook was even a thing, before learning management systems were a thing. We created a thing called a wiki, and we were teaching kids in Haiti. And the cool thing about that why was those kids we taught in Haiti learned so much that during the pandemic, some of them created computer programs that helped save lives in Haiti during the pandemic. So think of whys maybe just beyond your classroom. I had the opportunity to work and share the things that I learned with the government of the United Arab Emirates and all the teachers throughout the country. I got to go from school to school to school all over the country, helping them learn about STEM careers, and did that for 5 years. And then I wondered, did I do any good over there? And here's an interesting stat that just came out last year. These are where students choose STEM degrees. And prior to those 5 years, the United Arab Emirates wasn't even on the chart. Here they are, number 3, ahead of my own country. But look what country's number 1, Malaysia. More students in Malaysia choose STEM degrees than any other country in the world. That is fantastic. And that is a direct tribute to all of you on this call. You are the teachers that's inspiring that. I mean, that is an amazing, amazing statistic. And that's because of you in the classroom, inspiring these students to go on for higher education and choosing STEM degrees. Being in the classroom for 35 years, I get to see at Penn State, many of my students that graduated school are now at Penn State getting advanced degrees. Some of them are actually my bosses. So there's not a day goes by that in those 100,000 students at Penn State that I don't hear somebody shouting my name and waving to me, and it was a former student. So even though teachers don't get paid very much, what I have absolutely loved is seeing my students become adults and becoming these amazing, productive citizens that are changing the world. Teachers don't change the world, but we change the students that are going to change the world. And again, saying that Malaysia has the #1 rated students choosing higher ed degrees and STEM degrees, that's such a tribute. I was also able to help our state create new academic standards. So think about your why. What are some things you can do to help beyond the classroom? And then take time for yourself. I'm not sure if you know much about brain chemicals, but there are so many brain chemicals that can help you be resilient. There's a chemical called oxytocin. And when we are in love with somebody, or we love a child, or hug a child, or a dog, or a pet, that releases this oxytocin. So it's the trust relationship building thing. How do you get it? Hugging, physical touch, time with pets, time with loved ones, comfort foods are all good things. Serotonin is mood stabilizing. We can get that through acceptance and belonging by having a lot of sleep, controlling our breathing, accomplishing things, checking off your list of things that you do, getting sunlight, getting exercise, helping others. These are all going to recharge you in your classroom and in your career, and that's going to help your students. Endorphins, which are painkillers, they give you brief euphoria. Exercise can give you endorphins. Spicy foods, laughing, cold water, dark chocolate. And then dopamine, that's the reward chemical that's naturally released from your brain. That gives you motivation, learning, and pleasure. So exercise helps with that. Laughing, smiling, nature, meditating, etc. A smile is a very inexpensive way to improve your looks and your outlooks. And that's going to release dopamine and endorphins. So if there's one simple thing you can do, if you can just smile a little bit more every day, that's going to give you that energy. And that energy is going to go to the kids, and the kids are going to bring that energy right back to you. So that's a simple thing. that you can do. A smile is an inexpensive way to improve your looks and your outlooks. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Take a little time during your day, if you can, and just go for if you can take a break and go for a 5-minute walk sometime during your school day, even if it's over your lunch, or get outside or get some sun, like just unplug for a little bit. Forget about your classroom just for a few minutes. And then at the end of the day, unplug more. If you want to lift yourself up, lift someone else up. And for me, that was my big dopamine. That's really made me helpful. How can I help others in Haiti and all that? And I found when our kids were working on helping Haiti, they were learning a lot more because they had that dopamine and they felt like they were really doing a great job helping people. Don't let anyone or anything rent space in your head unless they're a good tenant, and that's serotonin. So that means don't dwell on things. If there are people, colleagues, family members that are negative, really try and limit your time with people who are negative, and that would pull you down, because that's not going to be helpful to you. Yeah, my big one is growth mindset. Growth mindset really is a way of looking at things. So for instance, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And this was a big thing for me in teaching. It took me 30 years to realize this, that my students had as much knowledge in certain areas as I did. And the more I started to let my students share their smartness with me and with others, and give up a little bit of that control in class and let some of those students teach some of the class, that was really, really, really helpful. And then, wherever events you're at, if you're the smartest person in the room, unfortunately, you're not the one that's learning. So you want to be in places that you can learn. And this is a favorite one of mine. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Frequently, I've gotten students that think they know it all. And sometimes I think I know it all wrongly, but it's the stuff you learn after that that's really, really important. And I like to say that attitudes are caught and not taught. So we can try and teach our students attitudes, but students are like parrots. They're these birds that imitate things. They will imitate their parents, they will imitate their peers, and they'll even imitate you with a positive growth mindset and a positive mind. So real quick on what growth mindset is.
Researcher and professor Carol Dweck uses the term mindset to describe the way people think about ability and talent. Dweck delineates between two different mindsets that exist on a continuum. The first is the fixed mindset, which suggests that your abilities are innate and unchangeable. The second is a growth mindset, which views it as something you can improve through practice. In a fixed mindset, you view failure as permanent, but with a growth mindset, you see failure as a chance to learn and even pivot. Those with a fixed mindset are more likely to view critical feedback as a personal attack, while those with a growth mindset will see it as a chance to improve, where they can develop new systems. With a fixed mindset, you're more likely to choose easier tasks and put in minimal effort. After all, if talent is fixed, why bother improving? Why even try? But with a growth mindset, you're more likely to embrace challenging tasks and work hard to improve. Those with a fixed mindset are likely to give up when they face an obstacle. Meanwhile, those with a growth mindset will view obstacles as a chance to experiment and solve problems. In a fixed mindset, the focus is on measurable accomplishments. But with a growth mindset, the focus is more on a journey of continual improvement. With a fixed mindset, you're less likely to take creative risks. But with a growth mindset, creative risks are simply a way to innovate and improve. Ultimately, your mindset influences everything from creative risk-taking to how you view feedback to whether or not you finish difficult tasks. And in the end, it's one of the greatest factors in determining whether or not you grow and improve in your abilities.
So at Penn State, that's one of the things we really try and work with our students, because some of the degrees we have at Penn State are very challenging degrees: nuclear physics, astronomy, this and that. So we really try and instill in our students to have this growth mindset. So here's a quick chart to kind of summarize what we just saw. Students and people with a fixed mindset, as far as their abilities are concerned, they believe their abilities are predetermined. They're born with them and they can't change it. If you have a growth mindset, you believe you can always get better. You're never the best. You're never the worst. You always have a chance to improve. Challenges. If you have a fixed mindset, you don't want to look bad, so you avoid those challenges. If you have a growth mindset, yes, challenges can still be challenging, but you know that you're going to be better in the long run and learn more by embracing a challenge. If you have a fixed mindset, mistakes really just are something you try to avoid. Growth mindset, you see mistakes as a way to learn and improve. And as far as effort is concerned, fixed mindset, they don't believe in effort. But if you have a growth mindset, you really believe through hard work that you can make a difference. Same things with feedback, obstacles, learning, outcomes. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset, lots to say. You can coach yourself, you can coach your students to do things like this. Saying this is a growth mindset thing. Mistakes are powerful tools. Improvement takes grace, space, and time. How can I build on the strengths that I'm learning? New things are an opportunity to learn, and attitude can make the difference between an adventure and an ordeal. An adventure and ordeal. Self-talk and coaching, you want to say something like this: I'm not good at this yet, instead of saying, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that is a very fixed mindset thing. Say this: what am I missing? Instead of saying, I'm terrible at this. Say this: this is going to take time to learn. Instead of saying, this is too difficult. Say this: I can still improve. And don't say, I'm an expert at this. Because if you say you're an expert at it, we've seen students say that too. That means that they're done learning. They don't need to learn anymore. I'm an expert. Well, no one's ever an expert. There's always somebody that learns more than us. Okay, I'm going to show you a really quick video. This person has their own channel on YouTube. He's from Scotland, and he does something called a non-talent challenge. These are fun things to do with your students to show them a growth mindset. Pick something that they've never done before and see if they can figure out how to do it. So here is Mike Boyd, and here is his growth mindset non-talent challenge.
I am a huge nerd and I watch a lot of lectures online. One of my favorite guys to watch is a guy called Walter Lewin from MIT. And aside from being a fantastic physicist, he also has another amazing talent. He is able to draw dotted lines on a chalkboard with unbelievable speed and crazy precision, and it makes a pretty cool noise too. Next week, I start a new lecturing job, and I thought it would be a pretty cool idea if I hit the ground running and impressed my students with this skill as well. So I wonder how long it will take me to draw dotted lines on a chalkboard like Walter Lewin. As always, this is day 1, hour 0. Alright, so I have absolutely no idea how he does this. Is he sounds like he's vibrating his hand. I mean, the noise that he gets. How does he do that? His hand doesn't even seem to move at all, it just goes. Kinda did. Okay, so I think I've figured something out there. Let me try and get... So these lines here I drew by pressing at an angle like this. There we go. It's like skipping on the board. I think I got it. I think I got it. So I think I've got the technique down. The technique is to hold the chalk firmly on the end like this, but push on the board lightly so it allows it to skip. I've got to a point where I can control the amount of space between each of the dashes in the line. So if I want a really fine line, I can push really hard and hold the chalk quite firmly. And I get an almost continuous line. And I can vary the pressure that I'm holding the chalk and how hard I'm pushing against the board to get a wider spaced line. Right, I think I finally got that down. Hopefully this will allow me to make a good first impression with my new students. Alright, first day today, and this is my classroom.
Oh no, whiteboards. All that work for nothing. He just had whiteboards. But there you see, Mike Boyd had an amazing growth mindset. Within about 6 minutes, he figured it out. Okay, we're going to give you a couple minutes to try this on your own. We're going to see if you have a little bit of resiliency and a growth mindset. If you could look around quickly and see if you have a pencil or a pen. You can find a pencil or a pen, and then I'm going to play this video 3 times in succession. And we're going to see over 3 times in succession of watching this video while you have a pen or a pencil in your hand, if you can increase your ability to spin a pencil or pen. So, quick rules: be safe, move a safe distance from others. If you have pen caps are pointed, put pen caps on or retract the point if possible. Work on your own or coach a colleague. Coach yourself with some of those growth mindset things. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say like, this is going to take some time. I'm not good at this yet, but we're going to get there. So I'm going to play this 3 times, and we're going to see if you can imitate this, learn it, and improve. Don't have to be perfect. You just have to improve. Here we go. Time 1. Looks pretty simple. At least how he does it. Okay, we're going to play that through one more time. Let's see if you can try it and improve. Here we go again. See if you can get better this time. Growth mindset. Okay, anybody want to show what they did? We got some people out there trying, I can see. So I will tell you, when I teach growth mindset or when I talk growth mindset to my students, I use this technique. I said to them for a homework assignment, take a video of you learning something brand new, something you've never done before, and give me a time-lapse video showing improvement. They didn't have to perfect what they did, but they had to show improvement. And students really like that. I gave them choices or let them pick with my approval of something they wanted to try that they've never done before to make sure, of course, that it's a safe task, but they something they really enjoy. So how did that make you feel? How did you grow? What were your frustrations? I know as you were going through that, it's uncomfortable at first, anytime we learn something new. And we know our students are going through that anytime they're learning a new math equation, reading something new, studying for a test, like all those things. Non-talent challenges can help teach those kids the growth mindset skills to help them get through where they're at. So in wrapping things up, the most important thing is to be where your feet are, to be present in the moment. That's another very helpful and important thing. So 5 ways to support your longevity in the teaching profession and your colleagues' longevity. Increase your awareness of the assets around you. Even in the pandemic, it was hard teaching in the pandemic, as we all know. But boy, I learned so many new skills that I use today from that. So, increase your awareness of the good that's around you and the tools that you have. Reignite your core why and your career why. What are things that make you tick, that make you happy? What are things in your career that really make you tick and make you happy? So reignite your why. Take care of yourself. Look for those brain chemicals, that oxytocin and some of those other ones, serotonin. Develop a growth mindset. Always try and improve and be present in the moment and be grateful for it. So a simple Google or Chat GPT search on any of these topics below will help you find setting your pace to help your endurance. So increasing your awareness, growth chemicals, growth mindset coaching tips, finding your why, growth mindset in general, being present in the moment. You do a search on any of those things, you're going to find a lot of people that are experts in that and that can really help improve not only you, but can help improve your students. And I always like to think of this. In the US, sometimes people say day one or one day. You decide. So like, one day I'm gonna go on a diet. One day I'm gonna start exercising. So is it one day or day one? So think about when you want to start implementing these things. No time like the present. So I'm just going to have you think about this as we get ready to leave here, and stick around because the link will be, I believe, put in the chat for credit for this. Think of a simple strategy from this presentation that you could implement over a short period of time. It might be something as simple as smiling more, because smiling more releases those happy chemicals in you, and that's going to make students smile. And when you see them smiling, that's going to make you smile more. Think of some simple strategies. And what are some strategies that may take more time for you to implement? Okay, so my contact information is found on this slide. You can follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter. If you do that, I post a growth mindset quote every day. And I usually also post something on being grateful, something to be grateful about every day, just to start people's day and to ground them. For you guys, it would be nighttime when you're seeing those posts from me, because I do it first thing in the morning. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen And I am gonna open it up for any questions or comments.
So everyone, if you have any questions, you may ask Mr. Jeff directly, or you can write it on the chat.
I see we do have some teachers that have been teaching 28 years, 38 years. Good for you. Good for you. You will see the seeds that you planted. You'll see that in your students as adults. And that's just such an incredible gift. You're still trying to spin the pen. Yeah. That's good. I'll tell you, you figure that out, how to spin the pen, you will really impress your students as you walk in the classroom and you could spin that pen. Your students are going to think you are a rock star. You're going to be a hero.
Jeff?
Yes.
There is a question on the chat from No Hafiza. So she's asking, how do you keep your motivation up when the pupils do not seem to improve even after you have tried all sorts of teaching strategies with them?
Well, probably the hardest thing to do is that really trying to get to know your students and building a relationship with them. And that is like learning to flip the pen. For some of my students, it can take me 7 months until I finally get that relationship where, you know, they're coming around and they trust me more. And you all know, you may have one class that's a wonderful class full of wonderful students, and the next class could be a class of very unpleasant students. And it's just finding ways to connect with those students, and just showing them over time that you're there for them and that you trust them. And that is a total growth mindset. That's just, it's a lot of failure that you have to experience, a lot of resentment you have to experience, but it's persevering. It's not a test of strength, it's a test of endurance. And I always think smiling, I mean, that's one thing my students have always said to me, Mr. Remington, you're always smiling. And slowly, smiling every day chips away at some of those tougher students.
Okay, Mr. Remington or Jeff, there's another question from Nu Adila. How do we build a courage, or how do we build courage to do a first step outside of our comfort zone?
Okay, so I always say with teachers and students, I call it baby steps and quick wins. Just try something very, very, very small that's just a little bit uncomfortable, and keep doing that until you get some success. And then try something a little bit more challenging till you get success, a little bit more challenging. Don't try something super challenging right off the bat. Just look for something that you're going to get a quick win And I like to call it baby steps. Babies can only walk a little bit at a time. So just start really, really small. Give yourself grace to make mistakes, and to make mistakes in front of your students. That was the hardest thing for me to learn after 30 years, was making mistakes in front of my students and kind of laughing at myself in front of my students, and my students seeing that I'm human like they are. And I think that's helped a lot too. I like that. Yep. Invite, yeah, just go with the flow. You can't beat them, join them. Yep. All good things you're putting in there.
There's another question, Jeff, from New Hash. So according to her, I teach primary kids around 7 to 9 years old. They can be so hyperactive sometimes. How can we keep in control? How can we control them in the class to listen and learn?
Yes, I have had classrooms full of hyperactive kids. It is, again, getting to really, really know the kid almost like they're your own child, and figuring out what is it that motivates them. Maybe they need to stand while they're learning, or maybe they need to tap their foot while they're learning. The thing about that is sometimes your classroom can sound a little chaotic, and maybe if your supervisor comes in and sees that going on in your class, you may not feel so good about that because your supervisor may not understand. But if you could have a conversation with your supervisor and talk about strategies you're thinking of using, have a conversation with them and see if they're open to that, that might be a strategy. Some students, you're not going to be capable to change. But I think more often than not, you can find ways of distracting or connecting with students and really understanding what their abilities or disabilities or challenges are to try and meet them where they're at.
So, Jeff, I think this question might be the last one. From teacher Dura. How do we as teachers guide the low ability pupils to feel motivated and rise up again to feel confident about themselves?
Yes. So I always try and focus on having a conversation with them to set their own goals, and again, baby step goals, and really, really praise them, and try and have them not so focused on their peers around them who may be doing much better. Like really focus on them. And those students in particular, I try and write positive notes on their homework or their test every time I can, more so than the other students. If there's a student like that that's a low ability student, I might say if they've got 50 questions wrong and 2 right, I might praise them. Wow, you got 2 questions right, and you really thought well on those 2 questions. Even though they got the majority wrong, I'll focus on the positive with them. And sooner or later, they start to think, wow, I got 2 right. Next time, let's see if I can get 3 right. Let's see if I can get 4 right. It's just a subtle shift in attitude, but it helps.
I think we can wrap it up. I think we
Okay.
can. It's already. I think it's already 11. Is it 11 p.m. In your place?
Yep.
So yeah, I think you must be tired.
Yes.
So, so thank you so much, Mr. Jeff Remington. That's just amazing. I think what I like most about you, and I think we can see that from the comments itself, is that you always have all these great quotes that you always share, and we are on the same group, the same WhatsApp group with everybody from the Global Teacher Prize. And yes, Mr. Jeff has the best quotes in the world, which I always read every day. So I think a lot of them are asking about the quotes. I think they can get that if they follow you on Twitter and LinkedIn, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so let's just say thank you again to let's thank and congratulate Mr. Jeff for the amazing presentation and also for the amazing achievement. He has been teaching for over 35 years. I'm just sharing his achievement here. So he has done a lot, not just in the United States, but in other countries like Syria, United Arab Emirates, Haiti, which he has shared. He has pioneered a lot of projects and he has received a lot of recognition too, including a top 50 finalist for Global Teacher Prize. You can definitely check that one out. It's an annual award for teachers, which awards 100 USD million for one winner each year. And that's how I got to know Mr. Jeff Remington from the group. And he has received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching in 2002. That's over 20 years ago. So that is how impressive he is, especially in STEM education. But obviously, he's a champion in growth mindset and resilience too. And the reason why we chose this topic, because our Ministry of Education is doing a new curriculum for 2027, which will be launched in 2027. And growth mindset and resilience are the two aspects that they are looking at. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. You can unmute yourself and say your personal feedback to Mr. Jeff, or you can write it on the chat. I'm going to share the link now. It's not an STL link because it's not open yet. I think the website is still down. It's a feedback link or certificate link. So you fill it in. We have your data and we will update the system for you. Okay. I'm going to share on the chat box. Okay, yes, I think so. So you just stay here for everybody for you to fill in the.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Registration link.
Thank you.
Registration link, sir.
Can I get your email address?
So I have my LinkedIn there. You can click on the LinkedIn.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Yep. And then I'll put my Twitter in there too.
Oh, you got also Twitter. Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yep. Sir, can I end the call?
You can. I think you can leave now, Mr. Remington.
Okay.
Good night.
I'm going to stop the recording then.
You can stop the recording. I think you can just leave but you don't end it yet, but you can leave it. And I think since I'm a co-host, I can end it later, maybe about in 20 minutes because
gotcha.
yeah.